Good evening, Commissioner. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Casey Lee. I am a Diné and a voter from Kayenta, Arizona. I am very concerned about the way the current congressional district map has been drawn for my area, which was formerly known as CD1, but is currently labeled CD2 on the IRC map. CD1 has been a highly competitive district and has given us fair representation. The redistricting process is supposed to be fair and competitive, and what we see in the draft map now includes Prescott and Yavapai County, which increases Republican representation and doing so decreases our Native American voting power. We already have smaller populations compared to the others, and we know why that is. Colonization, genocide, and systemic racism. We've had to always fight for our rights, especially voting rights. I fear in 2021, these unfair actions through redistricting will continue to further disenfranchise us if our Native voices and our votes are further diluted and diminished by turning my district into a Republican and taking away any real opportunity for me and my family to elect our candidate of choice. I do not want to be trapped in a district for the next 10 years that doesn't give me a fair shot. We can't take steps back. We cannot limit Native people and future Native candidates. I don't want to see Republicans using redistricting to steal a congressional seat. Any attempts to dilute our voting power by adding Prescott and Yavapai County or something similar is just wrong and should not be done. Therefore, I ask the committee to adopt the Navajo Nation Legislative and Congressional District draft map submitted by the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, staff, and guests. My name is Stephen C. Begay, a Navajo and an enrolled member. I vote at the St. Michael's chapter near here during elections. I gave my testimony at the first hearing at the museum in Window Rock and at the second hearing here at the training center. I have submitted a map plan for review, and I have objected to the rejection of the map submitted by the Navajo Nation at that time. But many suggestions have been made. The participants appreciate the work of the commissioners. There are differences in many communities of interest throughout the state. This redistricting process should not disenfranchise Native Americans in the final maps. The process should allow an opportunity for Native Americans to elect candidates of their choice. Their participation has made the elections more competitive in the recent times. The Navajo and federal government relationship and the treaties and agreements have geographically and politically compacted the people. The community of interest concept relies on the land and the resources available to the people and used for societal purposes. Raw materials like sand and gravel that are used for road improvements throughout the reservation are handled under old federal rules. The cleanup of abandoned uranium mines sites on Navajo lands is an interest of all residents. Other resources like water are constrained but shared by the people at large. It is important to have an independent commission to run the redistricting process, and more communities of color have participated in the process. Thank you for listening to me.
I have 3 additional speakers here in Window Rock. The next speaker is Jaynie Parrish. After Jaynie Parrish is Shannon Parrish. And then after Shannon is Kadence Jesus. Jaynie Parrish, once.
Yate. Hello, commissioners. Thank you for coming back to Window Rock. Since the first Congress in March of 1789, there have been 12,415 people elected to serve their constituents. I would like to see one Navajo Nation member serving. We are already redistricted, in a sense, because state boundaries, not ours, divided our people. Yet it was CD1. We had the highest percentage of Native Americans in any congressional district in the country. We are not there yet, but we had a chance to get one person elected out of 12,415 members. My goal is to let every child know that representative democracy is for them, that they can grow up and serve in Congress or beyond. The current draft map for CD2 not only doesn't get us there, it reverses course. It sends a chilling message that you have to be white, Republican, and represent rural Arizona. And that's really too bad. We are rural Arizonans too, and we have a history with this land, and we care for it in ways that are not understandable to someone who's not seeing Arizona for the first time. The draft map that adds Prescott and Yavapai County reduces our percentage of Native American voters. CD2 will not be the most Native district in the country anymore if we follow this lead. And we'll tell our children that we had a shot, or we have to wait another 10 years or 20 years. There are now 15 tribal nations who have young people who are asking for a fair shake and a fair shot at representation. It's not too late to do the right thing. Do not dilute our Native American voting power. I ask the IRC to adopt the legislative and congressional district maps submitted by the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission. Thank you.
Good evening, Yate. My name is Shannon Parrish. I'm a citizen of the Navajo Nation, and I'm a voter in Apache County. I am concerned that the congressional draft map CD2 has changed my district from being highly competitive to being a Republican district. I know that every vote in my current district counts, and I have seen my congressional representative work hard to make sure that all of my issues and the issues of my community and many other communities are addressed. Our current representative works for veterans, both on and off the tribal lands. My dad is a veteran and has always fought for our right to vote and fair representation. If Republicans are given a chance to consistently win elections without having to work for every constituent or genuinely include communities like mine, I know that our voting power will be diminished and I will not have the same quality of representation that I have now. Adding more Republicans to my district by redrawing the map will only further diminish Native American voters and everything that we have worked so hard for. Therefore, I ask the panel to keep our district map as close to the current one. I would also ask the panel to approve maps submitted by the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission for our congressional and legislative districts. I want to see a map that will encourage the election of candidates who will work with Indigenous people and not against us. Thank you.
Good evening. Yat Asia A Kadence Jesus Yensha Tachi Inisle Ta Ohana Bashis Chin Na Kadene Tashiche Ashihe Tashnale Glacialagai De Nasha Nays Nash Nahe. I am in 5th grade. I go to school at Saley Public School. Today I am here.
Just to let you all know, I'll do the English translation. She introduced herself, gave her name and what clans that she belonged to, and told her age.
Today I am here on behalf of my Nolly lady and my relatives from White Clay, Arizona. My family wanted to be here today, but are working or too nervous to talk. I am nervous myself, but I'm going to do my best. I'm speaking for them. First, I want to say that Native Americans deserve a voice. The current draft map is not fair. I'm here to ask you to change it to be fair. My family has recently gotten involved with voting at the federal and state level. We are now starting to see more Native American involvement, and this is because the maps were fair and competitive. We need a fair chance to be heard. I want to run for office one day, and that means I need and want to have a fair chance. I would like to thank you all for letting me come up here and hearing me speak. Please consider my requests and change the current draft maps to be fair. Ayahat.
Our final and last speaker here in Window Rock thus far is Elma Key.
Yate shea Elma Keen she Wanawanin Schlont Hatchin Ada Shia does a thana a the Shanala Kitchin Ada Shiche Ganaro Arizona de Ayash is chain de a call at Kida Kodo Nakita that Shinahayada BIA off the reservation at the Santa Sheila Salt Lake City de Ashlatine Nova the question Adea Sebeti Nova Atlashina. So mine it's a question.
Good evening. My name is Geraldine Kiyazi, and I'm the daughter of Elma Key. And I'm going to go ahead and help my mother with her comments here, and I'll speak in English on her behalf. Hello, my name is Elma Key. I'm a citizen of the Navajo Nation and a strong voter in Apache County. I would like to make sure our tribal voting power is not decreased. We have worked so hard to get where we are. Being able to choose our own candidates of choice is very important for our representation at the state and federal level. I remember a time when we could vote or even have Native Americans running for office. Today it's getting better, and this is because many of us have fought to have the right to vote and to have fair maps so that we can have a chance to run and win. We have to keep this progress moving, and this means we can't go backwards. We can't have extremists trying to control how we all vote or who runs for office, because they have shown many times they do not work with tribes or even want us to vote. For this reason, we have to have fair maps, and I ask the committee to consider and adopt the map submitted by the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission for LD6 and for the congressional district. We cannot split the Navajo Nation from the counties of Apache, Navajo, and Coconino or border towns. We contribute greatly to the counties and businesses in those border towns. Our livelihood depends on one another. Removing the border towns from LD6 only encourages more separation. We are better people if we work together and we get along together. I support the Navajo Nation maps for both the congressional and legislative maps. It makes everyone accountable for our state and our great Navajo Nation. We thank you, and thank you for giving us the time and the opportunity to talk in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will turn it over to Payson's 95 speakers.